I really appreciate everyone being here. And if you have only just found me recently, I am Kate Moore Youssef, and hence the name More Yourself. It's a play on my surname. And I was diagnosed with ADHD back in November 2020 alongside my daughter. She was 9-year-old. She's now 14, which is very scary. And for me, it was 100% that light bulb epiphany. Even though I knew something was different, something was going on pretty much my whole life, I didn't have the words, I didn't have that articulation. I didn't have the understanding, despite the fact that I had two brothers that were diagnosed with ADHD when they were kids. So this is what I'm trying to get across to people, that in this world where it's no one's fault, but we never had this understanding or this validation or this recognition of how ADHD could show up in girls. And so there's so many of us who are only just understanding ourselves, understanding who we really are, like this authentic version of ourselves that we maybe didn't even know we were masking, or we didn't know we were compensating, or we didn't know that we were being so over functioning, highly functioning, trying to keep it all together. And many of us, I'm looking at our age group, and many of us are sort of at that age in our 40s, 50s, who are being stripped bare by our hormones. And when we have this situation with our hormones that are sort of depleting us and taking everything away, the ADHD often comes to the forefront. And that is when we start getting more realizations. We may have had those realizations, little nudges, those little hints, the little kind of, oh, I wonder why I do that, or what's wrong with me, or never feeling good enough because someone's always flagged something up about us. But we've never really understood or had any form of recognition or substantial evidence and medical validation around what's been going on. So to kind of go back to my story, I then started the ADHD Women's Wellbeing podcast back in 2022, January 2022, which feels like a lifetime ago. And that has been the beginning of where life has taken me, this evolution where I was already coaching. I'd done my wellbeing coaching training. I'd done other things. I've started doing my EFT training. I was doing a lot of self-development. I was doing therapy, coaching myself. I had immersed myself in this world of healing, like wanting to heal, but not quite understanding what I was healing from. So it was it was a harder situation, because there was like, well, I know there's something wrong with me. Just get to the bottom of it. And I used to say to people, well, why do I do this? Like, why am I always why have I got such imposter syndrome? Why do I not have any self-belief? Why do I always doubt myself? Why have I got no self-trust? Why am I always hopping and changing and jumping from one thing to the other? Why do I feel so scattered and disorganized? Why am I so prone to anxiety? I had so many questions, but I didn't have any answers. And it felt like that was just this continual thing. And actually, before today, the past week, I was reading through my old journals. And oh my God, I literally wanted to hug that version of myself from like 2021, 2020, 2019. There was this, I was constantly questioning myself, like, why can't I just get my shit together? That was what I was asking myself. And I had 4 kids by then. And then obviously everyone went into the pandemic, and that is when everything changed. My ADHD diagnosis was that epiphany moment. That was that new chapter. It didn't make life easier, but it cracked everything open for me and gave me a lens and a different perspective and new foundations to work from. And that was incredibly, incredibly helpful. So to be able to then have a new kind of operating system to work from, a new way of looking at the world, was like, okay. So then I did a deep dive, as many of us probably have. And I was like, this podcast is going to help a lot of people. And I continued and I continued. And it has been this evolution, you know, for 3.5 years. I have put my heart and soul into understanding ADHD, how it shows up in women and girls, how it understands in our health, our well-being, our physical health, in all the nuances. And not only wanting to get to the bottom of it in that respect, but also get to the bottom of how we can make this work for us. This lifelong condition that stays with us neurologically, biologically, in our nervous system. It's contributed to so many facets of our life, our generational patterns, our family history, our relationships, our career, our academia. I don't know one, I don't want to use the word disorder, difference, condition, however you want to frame it, that has such an all-encompassing impact on your life. And I think it's really important that we just allow that to bed in, because people can be very flippant about it. People can be very disregarding and dismissive that what that impact really can have. And a huge mission of mine, a huge purpose of mine is not only helping myself, but helping my kids, but also trying to channel this through my work and the podcast, and then through my coaching, and then the book's here, the ADHD Women's Wellbeing Toolkit that came out in the summer. So much of my energy, and I talk about burnout all the time, and I try so hard to practice what I preach and model and all of that, but there was so much drive into getting this information out there that definitely burnout has been there. And I sort of battle with it still, because I have so much kind of passion around this subject. The evolution has come for a while where I've known that I wanted to create a space for women like me, like you, like many other women out there who have this awareness, have sat with this awareness, or processing this awareness, may have had this diagnosis and feeling quite alone, feeling unsupported. Maybe they don't have, or maybe you don't have a support system around you, or a partner that understands, or maybe you're still wanting to learn this for yourself so you can support other neurodivergent members of your family, because many of us are supporting kids, partners, parents, siblings. We all know this never travels alone. We know that we know that it's in the family. And very often it can be us finding out for ourselves, and that ripple effect goes out to our families. And it can be a hard thing to handle and to hold and to nurture and create that self-care for ourselves. So I hope that the book has been somewhere that people can go to. I hope that the chapters and my kind of words felt like they gave you what you needed while you were reading them. But I felt this calling to offer more of a space. And that is why this membership has come about. Now, I was actually talking to someone today on a podcast that she's giving on my podcast, an amazing psychotherapist. And she also had a diagnosis. And we were talking about how we have all these ideas, and we have all these desires and needs and wants and all this purpose and this ambition, and we want to help people. But sometimes it's at the expense of our own health. And that's why so many of us flip through these burnout cycles. And I talk about our brain and our nervous system being almost at loggerheads with each other. That our brain is like so fast, and there's so much we want to do and so much we want to achieve and accomplish, and then whoosh, it's gone, and then we want to do something else, and then the dopamine hits, and then our nervous system kicks in and goes, no, I just need to rest and decompress, and what you're doing to me, don't add any more things to my plate. And it's this constant push pull of fighting against wanting to have solitude and calm and rest, and our brain wanting to do and produce and keep going. And that is why so many of us feel very kind of almost detached from ourselves, because we try and push through, but our nervous system, which is, we know, is a sensitive nervous system. There's often trauma that has been embedded in our nervous system for so many different reasons, which we can go into. And we have to learn a new operating system. It's a new template, if you want to call it, a new blueprint that no one's told us before. And this is why so many women, when they get diagnosed, they've been working off a different instruction manual. They've been given this instruction manual from birth that is pretty, it's a neurotypical one. It's very general. Everyone, should be operating from it. And we don't feel aligned with this instruction manual, but we kind of think, no, everyone's doing it. That's what, is expected of us. So we just keep pushing. And then when we get this diagnosis, we are given permission to investigate and get curious about a new operating manual, instructions, blueprint, however you want to call it. So this is why I wanted to open up a space so we can all get a bit curious and we can learn a little bit about ourselves. We can support each other, and I hope I can come in and give you that support as well. There's a little girl waving at me, so I have to wave back. And I want to be able to create this space where there is structure. So I am going to be the structure, but there's going to be freedom and there's going to be fluidity to it as well. My promise within this community is that this isn't going to be a membership space where you're going to feel swamped or like you're drowning or like you're behind, or that you need to have watched one video to watch the other video. This is your space to come in and dip out where you want, and you can connect. And if you don't feel like connecting, you don't have to connect. But what I want to be able to offer by making it as accessible as possible with the pricing that we've come with it, I genuinely feel very aligned with, because it makes this space really accessible and it makes you feel that you're not under pressure, that if you've not kind of shown up for a month, you can dip in and dip out, or you can just get one live out of it, or one program, one on-demand workshop out of it, or a few resources out of it, or you can just come in and connect with a few of the women and ask some questions, or you can come and watch one of the guest workshops and you feel like you've had your money's worth. And that is what I really wanted. I didn't want it to be another thing to do. I want it to, I think a big thing for me coming up in this next year is a space to be more and not do more, to remove this productivity pressure that so many of us have, all the shoulds and the needs and the tick boxes, and to take that away from this space and for it to be a space to be. So even if you just want to come in and read what other people are saying or connect quietly, and then we're going to build on this as well. So it kind of doesn't feel like you're being thrown into this lion's den of like, there's loads to do and there's loads of things to get through. It's really not going to be like that at all, because I'm creating the space that I would want, that I wanted 5 years ago. I'm creating that space. And it's really important that we have this evolution as women, as neurodivergent women who have been operating from this place of productivity, of external validation, of the more I do, the better person I am, the more I show up for other people, the more I fix, or the more I people please, or the more I say yes. And this is a place to strip all of this back. And I think one of the reasons why I feel so called to bring this to the community at this time, because I've been sitting on this for a while, I'm just going to, full disclosure, this has been part of my brain capacity and then a whiteboard capacity since probably the spring. But then I knew that the book was coming and the summer and all of that. I was like, no, I'm going to bide my time on this one. And I feel really called for this time because it's, September, October, autumn's here, autumn's brewing. It still kind of feels a little bit summery, lots of green everywhere. I'm just looking out my window, but there's a vibe outside wherever we are now in the world, that a shedding of layers, a stripping back, and almost, and I always say, like, we mirror the seasons. We should, as humans, that should be something that we look to as to how we're feeling. And autumn brings that feeling of stripping ourselves to start building a new version of who we are and allowing this sort of seasonal time, and as the leaves are falling and as the trees are sort of becoming more bare, that feeling of it's okay to peel back now. It's okay to layer by layer, gently, slowly, like, you know, we don't go from summer to winter. Like that would be too kind of jarring on our nervous system. We have autumn as this in-between phase, this gentle in-between phase where gradually the temperatures drop, gradually we see the leaves coming, the fruits leaving the trees, and we have this opportunity to be more in a place of peeling back what it is. And I come back to the name, being more yourself, this invitation for authenticity, for truth, for finally understanding who you are, what your desires are, what your beliefs are, what your truth is, what you are ready to release, but also stepping into like, what are those values? What are your values that are driving you now? Now that you have this new understanding, that you're seeing life slightly differently, and maybe you are making choices that you are being more intentional with who you want to be, like how you want to show up now. Maybe there's been change in your life as well. Maybe there's been, you know, a process of things being, you know, left to one side and releasing. Maybe there's certain relationships that you have put to one side, or boundaries that you've put up. This is all part of this process. And remember that when you do this work, when we do this work as women, the people around us, it's like an energetic kind of flow, that the energy shifts. And I don't know how else to say it, that you will notice that when you start doing this internal work, this will be your internal work, and it might not feel like work. It might just feel like emotional release. It might feel like vulnerable. You might just have that moment where you feel a bit exposed, and maybe there might be some truth that you don't really want to look into. There might be things that you've been blocking or pushing away. But it's being able to just pause and take a breath, process everything. And we're going to move through this kind of, I guess we'll probably move through the seasons and just keep moving through and working with this, you know, with this together, so we can start stepping into who we are. And I've got lots of exciting things as well coming up through the months. We've just been creating a schedule, so every month's going to have a theme and a topic. And I'm just going to I'm going to just tell you what we've kind of come up with, because I was really excited about it. Just really exciting things where it really reflects, I think, what we as women are going through, for sure, in this space. So we're going to be talking about burnout and managing our energy, our daily rhythms and our routines, RSD and emotional regulation. We're going to be talking about hormones and perimenopause as well, and supporting our cycles, but also parenting, relationships, caregiving. And then we're going to talk about work and career and purpose. And sometimes this might just all blend together a little bit, because as we know, again, as women, our lives blend, everything has overlaps, and our energy and our emotions and our everyday routines are kind of what supports all of this. So this is going to be your space to just catch your breath, to feel supported, to show up without any of this pressure to be productive. This is just your space, really, to kind of recognize maybe those burnout symptoms, triggers, step into the rhythms that feel good to you, and start making really small, sustainable, intentional shifts. And we're going to kind of use each other for accountability as well. We're going to share, we're going to maybe, what I love about this community format is that I don't know everything, and I don't want to I don't want to sort of be like, oh, I'm the expert and you guys just have to follow me, because I know in this community we have some amazing people. We have amazing people doing amazing things professionally, personally. I know who I'm speaking to right now because we're all very, very like-minded. I have women in this community who have got such severe imposter syndrome but are doing incredible things in what communities that they work in. And this is the time for us to share our knowledge, share our wisdom, share our guidance, share our expertise. And I think this is kind of where I would love to go, because I'm just one person and I would love to be able to create this space and be sort of like a bit of the lighthouse in this situation. But I want to be able to bring in other people. And that is why a big part of this space is going to be about mentoring. And this is not going to start, we're not going to have this from the very, very beginning, because when you come into More Yourself, when you sign up, you're going to get a form to say if you fancy being a mentor or you fancy being a mentor, if you want to be a mentor or a mentee, and you can be both. Very often a therapist needs therapy, a coach is being coached. It's perfectly fine. And I actually would encourage it, because we shouldn't just be always in giving mode. We should be in receiving mode. It's really important that we learn to be supported and not just support. And I know there's probably people who are listening right now who are the fixers and the supporters and the people who've always been there to help other people. And that is very often why so many of us feel burnt out and depleted. And you might not have that capacity to do any of this right now, to be mentored or to mentor someone, and that is absolutely fine. There is no pressure. But if you kind of feel this urge that you want to be part of this, you can put your name down, and we're going to do a bit of a matchmaking kind of service. We're going to figure this out. We've got some ideas. We're working that up. But we need to kind of just get some idea of who's interested. So you will get that information. And it brings me on to a concept which I felt really, really related to tonight. And it was stemmed from an email. I'm just going to pull up my my things here. Hold on one second. And it stemmed from getting an email about a psychotherapist called Erik Erikson. And I don't know if anyone's heard of him, but he created a psychosocial development theory, which helps people through the different stages of their life. And it's 8 stages of psychosocial development. And he was a developmental psychologist, German-American, and psychoanalyst. And he was trained by Anna Freud, if anyone is interested. And he was deeply influenced by Freudian psychoanalysis, but he expanded on these ideas significantly about development. Now, these 8 stages of psychosocial development range from infancy right down to late adulthood to stage 1 to stage 8. But they have a really important lens that we can look through from late diagnosed ADHD, especially in women. And I wanted to reflect on perhaps the last 5 stages, which I think is why we are here tonight. And I think which will maybe help you understand why you are seeking this support network and this community space, because I really believe that when we have a bit more of this understanding, it can really help us heal, or I say process, sort of grieve, heal, and then move through to this evolution stage. So I'm not going to confuse matters too much, but stage 5 is adolescence. So this is the sort of the 12 to 18 of who am I? And this is, as a neurodivergent woman, you won't have known this because you weren't diagnosed. If anyone is listening here, maybe they were, but most of us weren't. And you may have felt this sort of very deep role confusion of people pleasing or perfectionism and self-doubt, just not feeling enough. And we can often go back to those times. Many of us might go back to those times and see ourselves going through puberty or adolescence and really have struggled, whether it was at school, in family life, anything like that. And sometimes we need to go back and do a little bit of healing around that, where we didn't know what was going on. No one helped us, no one supported us. And then we go through to the next stage of young adulthood, which is 18 to 40, which is a massive chunk of time. And it's this sort of conflict of intimacy versus isolation. Can I be truly seen and loved? This is the core issue. And when we don't understand or fully know or accept ourselves, it's really hard for us to build these sort of safe relationships, understanding why we're operating the way we are. You know, from the ages of 18 to 40, we're creating core relationships, maybe getting married, having kids, starting our careers, and we are unknowingly masking. There's emotional dysregulation, there's RSD, rejection sensitive dysphoria. Burnout may have shown up, reared its head many a times, you know, from this age throughout the different times. And there may have been broken connections, broken relationships, and loneliness, and really not quite understanding who your true self, or your true self wasn't seen. And so when we get this late in life diagnosis, it allows many of us to slowly unmask and to understand why we feel dysregulated, or why we felt too much, or we've not felt right in that environment, or we've not been able to safely show up authentically. So it gives us this understanding, this new lens of creating deeper connections, creating deeper intimacy. And then we go into our middle adulthood, which many of us are in right now, which is ages 40 to 65. And this is the concept that I really wanted to share tonight. And it's about, I'd never heard of this word before, generativity versus stagnation. So I'm going to say that again, generativity. And that core issue is, how do I create a meaningful life? So if you think about it, there's that need for purpose, connection, meaning versus stagnation. And we can go both ways. We can really, you know, either make that decision that we can live in sort of victimhood, and, you know, life is never going to work out for me. And, you know, we've seen it perhaps in our families or other family members, and we've kind of given up and just like, this is just what's going to, you know, it's just going to be. Or we use this diagnosis, this awareness, this understanding to be a kickstart. It can be a next chapter of your evolution. So we're not in any way disregarding what we've gone throughout our lives. We're acknowledging it, we're seeing it, we're sending compassion, we're sending love. There may be healing that's needed outside of this space through therapy. There might be a recognition that we need to forgive, we need to let go. There might be resentment there might be deep hurt, but we make this choice. We make this choice to use this as a pinnacle moment in our lives to create a place of meaning and connection and purpose. And this is where I get really, really excited, because this is, you know, this concept of my book. Underneath the title is Embrace Your Authentic Self and Harness Your True Potential. That title was created months and months and months before any of this came to light, but it was clearly that driving force to what I wanted to be able to offer to this community after the initial stages of the ADHD diagnosis. So this is kind of like chapter 2.0. This is like you've graduated, you've had the awareness, you've had the understanding, you've got the diagnosis, whether it's self or it's, you know, official, and you're not now here to say, now what? I'm ready for more. I'm ready to be more of myself. I'm ready to step into more of my authenticity, and I don't want to stagnate. So many women find themselves here. So we're drained. We're drained from the overfunctioning, the masking, the people pleasing, the perfectionism, the doing things according to other people's rules and regulations and conditioning and all of that. And we're kind of like, oh, I want to rip it all up. And where can I start from? We're not working like this very idealistic dream-like way. I'm not saying like sell everything, quit your job, move somewhere else. This is just gentle, very gentle, sustainable, authentic shifts to help bring more meaning to your life. And so much of it is in the last few chapters of my book, where I really wanted to share more of this, more of the purpose, the joy, the creativity, the simplification, the fulfillment. And this is where I feel my natural evolution is coming with this community as well. So there may be this sort of ask or this pull to ask yourself, what have I done with my life? Where's my energy gone? And was this what I wanted? You know, is this according to my own desires? Is this according to someone else's? And there's also this yearning to give back, you know, to build something purposeful or live more in alignment. And this doesn't mean that you have to start a charity or you need to, you know, change your job or anything like that. There's no judgment. You know, you can still be doing what you do, but you can just be doing something that just feels a little bit more connected to you. And I see this all the time, this stagnation in so many people. They don't think they're worthy. They don't think they're worthy of change or evolution. They may not see it in their families or in their social circles. It might be very, very conflicting. It's like there's you know, a rule book that says you just do, you know, that's your career and that's what you've trained for and that's what you do, or that's where you've always lived, or that's the person that you've always been with, and that's just who we are. That's what, you know. But I know that this life that we've been given is a life of creation, and that life of creation means that we're always got this opportunity to change and evolve and grow and develop and expand. That there's no reason for us to stagnate. So what I wanted to share with this is that this is your turning point to lead to this renaissance. That's what they've used, this word of creativity, of self-advocacy, of your self-expression and healing. So then you move into this reclamation of your identity after this late diagnosis, and knowing that this isn't just where you end. The diagnosis is not the end. This is the next evolution, is the beginning of this next chapter, and you're able to see things through this fresh understanding with more compassion, more knowledge. You're able to build more authentic relationships. You know, there's no reason for anyone to not make brand new friends later on in life, you know, from a place of feeling much more authentic, much more, you know, like you want to kind of just strip everything bare, be really truthful, be really vulnerable. And I've had that many times where I've just had a conversation with someone who I tell more about who I am and my life story and my truth in the first 5 minutes of meeting than I have with some of my friends I've been friendly with for 20, 30 years. Life is too short to not find these meaningful connections and learn and grow and evolve. And it always comes back to this, is like, we are worthy of it. And for us to sort of grow into our purpose and no longer be weighed down by any of the shame or the guilt or the embarrassment or the misunderstanding or the masking, like we are able to do this. So this is the reason why I'm here today. This is why I wanted to share with you what I guess more of a snippet into how we can become the more authentic version of ourselves, and whether that's going to be through well-being, lifestyle changes, little tweaks and tips and guidance and hints and ways that we can just sort of change those sort of little ways we do life, the routines, the structures that we do life. And I hopefully am going to be there to give you those nudges along the way and share and bring resources and create this community for everybody. So I don't know if Megan has already done it, but I've been on a bit of a roll here, I think. But what I wanted to say was, if anybody has any questions, I want to just save a bit of time because I wanted to, I can see there's a lot of comments. If I missed loads of stuff, probably I have. I can see lots of people are conversing and having a nice chat, and that's great. If anybody has a question, I would love, just drop it in the chat, or Megan, Oh, we've got here questions from Megan. Okay, so I'm going to say, what are the plans around the meetups? So the meetups, we've already got a schedule. So when you sign up, you will be in the membership kind of holding bay, the app, the platform. You can access this on your phone, desktop, and iPad. And you will see the lives that we've already got in the diary. You can click on them, you can put them in your diary. Everything will be recorded. I think we've got the live sessions up until January or February. And then you will have them, and hopefully they'll go in your diary, and that's done and dusted. And then we'll be dropping things in, and I'll be, be able to get that information to you via email and through the membership. I'm not going to overwhelm you with too many things, but there'll be a way for you to always go back and double check what's in there, and find what works for you. If you've got a day off from work and you feel like sort of diving in there and connecting, you can. So the software that we're using is Kajabi. It's not perfect. I'm going to say that to you right now. It's the best that we can do with the platform that I use that can integrate everything that I use with my emails and my programs. We are making this. Poor Megan has been working so hard, because every time we do something, I keep going back to her saying, how can we simplify it? How can we make it, with more clarity? How can we strip it back so it doesn't feel overwhelming? So every time I go in there, I'm putting my member head on, and I'm going in and going, what would I want? How would I want this to look? What feels good to me? How do I process this? And I know that we're all different. I know that every woman, with ADHD is exactly the same. But I'm really trying so hard for this to be a place that doesn't feel like it's going to, send you into a spiral. What I do want to caveat all of this with is it is still tech, and tech, even in this day and age, is still quite glitchy and not perfect. But we are going to be working and making sure that whatever we do, you're going to get an email with as well. So even if for whatever reason you can't log on, there'll be a way for you to access it, from an email, and take it from there. So as you know, that the price, we were doing this early bird price from today. So today's the 16th, and it's going to take us all the way through to the 23rd. It's a founding members price, which is why you've been on the wait list, which is why I've been talking about it so much, because you are getting literally the lowest price that I'll ever do, which is £18 a month. And is it £198 for the annual? Okay. So the annual fee is, you pay the £198, it's done and dusted. You don't have to worry about it for a year. You've got full access, bish bash bosh. You don't ever have to worry. I personally think nearly £200 for a full year's membership is an absolute steal. But at the same time, I want to make this accessible. So I will always give you that value. Just because I think it's like super, low cost, doesn't mean that I won't be making sure that you are going to get your money's worth, because I know every single pound to everyone at the moment, pound, dollar, whatever that is important. I know what the cost of living is like. I know that we're all struggling and juggling and working, and got kids, and we've got all sorts going on. I want this to be a place where it feels like anyone can join. And if you still think that you really are going to struggle with that price, drop me an email and I'll see what I can do. But really, I've tried to make this as accessible from a price perspective as possible. So as we said, you've got a week to really take advantage. After the 23rd, on the 24th, it's going up. It's going up, and it's going to stay up. It's going to be £18. £24, £26, £26 a month. And I can't remember how much for a year. I want to say 286, but I'm remembering. And that's what it's going to be. So whatever you pay, you'll stay with that. That's your lifetime membership. And the live sessions, they are not on exact days and times. So I've had to do it around my diary, but I've also tried to do it around different time zones as well. So there's a bit of sort of fluidity in that. And I can't please everyone. I've had people email me from Tasmania, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, America, about 6 different time zones. And I genuinely, I wish I could facilitate this. Like one day there's going to be a portal where everyone's on the same time zone. But for now, you'll have to access recordings or stay up really late at night or wake up really early in the morning, which I don't think you need to do. Just watch the recording. But obviously, I would absolutely love as many people on the lives as possible, so we have this energy. And so the group chat, so this is what I want to be able to say. Yes, I want to make sure that you have a platform where you can connect with each other. I'm going to keep it on this Kajabi platform. So you'll have the app. Hopefully everybody has a phone that you can connect with on an app, whether it's Android or Apple or an iPad, but you can also do this on your desktop as well. So you will be able to go on a community board, kind of like what you'd have in a Facebook group, and you can connect, you can ask questions, you can introduce yourself, you can ask each other the same questions that you'd maybe want to ask me, but you can create that community space. The only thing I don't want is for other coaches to pitch coaching, because I think that might be just a little bit kind of under the belt. But I will encourage support. If one person does one thing in a job and another person's looking for support, to help each other. I really want collaboration to be part of this. This is like women supporting, lifting each other up. There's no competition, there's no comparison. This is just a situation or a community space where we can be part of this, be part of this together. So Megan's going to drop in the links. And I would absolutely love it for you to join. If this feels right to you, come on board. The link is now, we've got the links open. You've got access. This group here has got exclusive access for the founding early bird membership. And this is going to be open for the next 6 days. So please, take advantage of it. Take advantage of the fact that this is probably only going to go up and up. The next price rise will be after that, and it will probably go up again, maybe, I don't know, in the new year. But if you sign up now, you will just have this price. This will be your price, and that will be it. And you just pay annually, and then next year you pay the same. I just want you to know that when the price goes up, if you're a founding member, you won't have to pay a new price. You will always be charged your price. I won't ever take money from you without you knowing. You will get a email telling you that your annual subscription is up, and that will, that I will try and operate the morals and the ethics and the values that I really feel are so important, and that's sort of grounded in the philosophy of ADHD women's wellbeing, and it always has been. So I am here. What time is it? 15 minutes. If anybody has any more questions, might not be to do with the community, maybe just anything that you want to ask me, I'm here for it. If you want to drop it in the chat, I'm here. 15 minutes of just any Q&A, whatever it pick my brains. I'm having a drink because I feel like I have just spoken for 45 minutes. Will there be a crossover with ADHD? So yes, 100%, because what we are knowing now is how blurred the lines are. So when I first started, and it was always just ADHD, and then over time we've realized that how the spectrum is evolving, and I always say it's this Venn diagram, and how it can show up in so many different ways at different times of our life, and to have more understanding and nuance about that. And one of the guest workshops that will be coming, and we're going to be talking about this, I've already got 20 people who have signed up to the wait list to be on the guest workshops. Amazing people, global people with incredible knowledge and expertise, who are clamoring to come and talk to you all in this community. They are desperate because they love the podcast, they love the book, they want to be part of this community as well. So my plan with the Experts is for them to come every other month, because otherwise it's quite a lot. So they might come every other month. That might take over the live for that month, or I might do 2 lives depending on my schedule. But I want you to know that I won't overwhelm you too much. But if I kind of feel like this pull to be like, yeah, let's just throw in 2 live workshops for that month, I'll do that. And then you can just watch in your own time. You're going to get a lot of value for money in this membership, because I've got a lot to share and a lot to give, and I've got a lot of resources, loads of resources, so many on-demand workshops that I want people to watch. I've got lots of audio notes that I want to share, and we're going to be talking about stuff in the book as well. I've not even covered that, where I'm going to be doing like book club style events where I'm going to just talk about a chapter, and we're going to use the prompts, and I'm going to bring it to life as well. So we're going to bring the book really, really to life, and kind of just use the book almost as a bit of a guide as well. The sign up option, Megan, if you just want to put that back in the chat again, just so people have got that. So this could expand exponentially and really fast. How do you manage vast numbers of women? So I'm expecting it to kind of trickle in, and I'm quite used to it. I've had a membership before, and I'm used to working with lots of women. I'm used to working in quite a big community. So, but the biggest thing for me is that we will be monitoring this community, and we have already written out in the welcome pack. We've got expectations, we've got our terms and conditions, and one of the biggest expectations and things, there's not going to be any talk of politics or religion. And I really, really want this to be a safe space. I want this to be a space, I want this to be a space for connection, for unity, positivity, light, understanding, compassion. I am putting that out into the universe, that this is a place. I don't want anyone coming into this membership who wants division, who wants arguments, who wants confrontation. This is a place where it is like-minded, and I really hope that we really bring that energy to the group. And I just want it to be a space where people feel safe. That is the most important thing, and myself as well. I want to feel safe as well. So we will be making sure that it feels like that, and it doesn't feel that there's going to be kind of, people will have disagreements, or there'll be, different opinions, maybe about medication or about lifestyle habits or tweaks or whatever, but it is very much based around, we're all here for the one thing, and that is understanding ourselves better, growing, evolving, and finding more compassion and really unity. Like Donna said in the chat, it is needed more than ever. And I hope that in this little pocket, of community, that hopefully I can bring out into the world, that will seep out. And we all know that we are a collective, and what we put out into the world does disseminate. And I go back to what I said at the beginning, that when we do this work on ourselves, it does trickle out into our families, into our relationships, into our parenting, into our careers. So I get really, really excited about that. How many events do you think there will be each month? So there will be always one live session a month. So whatever happens, there'll be a live session. And there may be 2, but on the whole, there'll be one live session. And then I will be dropping in little resources, prompts. Something that I really like is audio notes. So I will be recording those and dropping them in, just so you've got like just a little thing, a little nudge, a little bit of something to get you through the week. It won't be all month, every week. That I don't want you to think that, but it will be there for you to drop in when you have time. But the connection point will be there, and I will try and be in there and moderating and making sure everything's fine, answering questions. But on the whole, there'll be probably 2 or 3 resources a month, and a live, and some voice notes. So yes, participation, 100%. Yeah. So what I will be doing, something that I'm really excited about, is doing a bit of, I was going to do it tonight, but I actually feel like we just needed to kind of get all the information out tonight. But what I want to be doing is every time we do a live, I'm going to ask for someone to come up and put their hand up, and where we do a bit of live coaching, like a bit of a workshop, where if someone really does need a bit of help or guidance, we can have a chat, and whoever that brave person is that wants to come up and know that they're going to be filmed, they're going to be recorded, and it is going to be in the collective, in the the community, then we share. And I always find, whenever I've been on other coaching calls and someone steps up and sort of is vulnerable and talks about what they're going through or the challenges that they're going through, I always see it resonate with other people. So I know that that will be really, really helpful. So I'm going to be bringing that in. Problem with participation that I've had before, it can get noisy, it can get messy. Some very lovely people might like to overshare for quite a long time, and then it eats into other parts. And I know that some people get a bit restless and get a bit impatient. So it's my job to keep things flowing, and it's my job to ensure that the value is there when you're showing up, that it's not going to be sort of noisy and lots of people talking over each other and things like that. So that will be where I come in and guide you. But I'm already on it with that. Megan's put in the links there, but I just want to be able to say that just be a tiny bit patient. We have got stuff in there already, but as we are in the founding stages, we're at the beginning bit. This next week, we're going to be putting things in. But what I want to say is that if you are signing up before the 30th, you are going to be getting a free live workshop with me on the 30th of September. That's going to be a bonus community membership workshop. It's not available for anyone else. So if you signed up to the membership before the 30th, I'm going to be doing my September live on the 30th of September. And I'm really excited about this. It's a 10-year vision workshop where we're going to be stepping into how we want to show up, who we want to become, how we want to see ourselves in the next 10 years. And it's going to be some journaling, and it's going to be writing, and it's going to be prompting. I might do a bit of visualization. And I'm really, really excited about this. It's going to be a lovely, lovely workshop, and it's all about stepping into this next chapter. And we're doing this for over 10 years because we're not going to put any pressure on ourselves. We're not going to, be like, I have to be a complete changed person in 5 years or 2 years. This is a gentle shift. It's just a movement. It's an evolution into how we want to show up for the rest of our lives. So I'm really excited about that. That's on the 30th. It's going to be 3:00. And yeah, you'll get all that information when you sign up. You'll get an email, and hopefully you'll get a link that will be coming, and you'll be able to put that in your diaries. And I think, have I covered everything? Is there anything else that I haven't explained? I'm just looking here. I love a framework about how to explain ADHD to all the neurotypicals around me. Yes. So sometimes I say that just buy the book, buy them the book so they can read the book. Send podcast episodes. The amount of times I've sent podcast episodes to people and said, now do you understand why I'm like this? Now do you understand about RSD? Or now do you understand about why anxiety shows up in that way? Or why we've struggled with processing at school? Genuinely, sometimes it can feel so exhausting to constantly be advocating for ourselves. Sometimes an article, a podcast, a book, anything like that can just be really, really helpful, and not to put so much pressure on yourself to have to over-explain everything to everybody. Sometimes it is just literally like a message saying, I've really struggled with this all my life, and I know that you've not quite understood it, but here's a podcast episode, or something about hormones or PMDD or perimenopause. And there's so much that we can cover, honestly, because like I said at the beginning, it really is all encompassing. So just to reiterate, there won't be weekly on meetups. It will be once, maybe twice a month. So that won't be, I don't want you to expect a weekly meetup. For that, it would be a much, much higher cost point. This is what I believe is really worth the money for what it is, where there's live workshops, resources, prompts, a connection point, audio notes, and on-demand material. And it will evolve. And like I say, there will be fluidity, there will be flexibility. But most important, I'm going to be nurturing this community. So you won't, I'm live answering, you won't have to remember, it will be direct debit. But if I'm honest, I would say if you can afford it, do the annual fee, and then it's done and dusted, and you don't have to drive yourself mad. It's a full year of all this information, and it's done and dusted in one day. And for me, I often choose that because my ADHD brain I just prefer, to do that. And you will be getting reminders and emails from me as well. And yes, I will be talking about lots of well-being stuff, holistic stuff, lifestyle stuff, talking about how we can use nutrition, exercise, meditation, breath work, so honestly, so much of it. And we're going to be bringing that in the guest workshops as well. So I'm going to be blending all my knowledge, all my wisdom, everything I've learned, bringing in all the best bits of the podcast and the book in very kind of in a non-overwhelming way. Because I'm saying it, I'm like, oh, it sounds really like I'm going to be bombarding you with loads of information. I'm going to really not do that, because I genuinely believe that less is more. This is a place to be, not to do. And so I just hope that if this feels aligned to you, and I'm not doing the big sell here, but I'm bringing you the information, and then if it feels right and it feels like what you're ready for and it feels aligned, all the information's there. Hopefully you'll get emails as well if you're kind of sitting on the fence right now, and you can come back to it tomorrow, or it's all there for you now, Megan, to put it in. I'm going to send this recording out tomorrow, so if you want to rewatch it, you can. But it's just lovely to see faces, lovely to see so many of you here. And I just want to say thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk to you all, and look forward to seeing you on the other side. That's the most exciting thing, that when we're in and we can crack on, because I've been in this like holding bay where I've been a bit sort of jittery about it all, and I'm just ready to get started, if I'm honest, because this is my next evolution, my next thing. The book's been birthed, the podcast is part of my routine. I do see very few one-to-one clients, but this is where all my energy is going. This is going to be, where I'm going to be directing people, because I think this is where the most value is going to be. So this is going to be pretty much the main model of how I help and share all my information now, because I could either go down just one-to-one coaching and only help a very small handful of people with the energy and the time that I've got, or I show up in this capacity and hope that I can help more people, and you guys can disseminate the information. You're all going to be my little ambassadors, and wherever you live and whoever you work with and do, you're all going to be disseminating and spreading this word, because we need more awareness out there. We need more people talking about this, going into schools and universities and colleges and healthcare professionals. So it's almost like I'm training little, I don't want to call you minions, that's not the word I want, but if you know what I mean, however you want to describe it, ambassadors to go in and do the work in where you are and share this really, really valuable information. So I'm going to let you all have your evenings now, and thank you so, so much. And I will see you hopefully in there. Take care, everyone. Thank you.